The tea is hot today, my friends. I'm just really, really tired of the insipid black and white gatekeeping that a vocal minority of the language learning community seems to really enjoy taking part in. On one side, you have people like me who say, well, I became conversationally fluent in a language with the help of Duolingo. And then you have others who claim that that is physically impossible, and then comb through hours and hours of live stream footage in order to find a point in which I make a mistake in a word to go, oh, look, he said the wrong word right there. That didn't work. Clearly, Duolingo doesn't work. Interesting. That is a take, I would say. But I think we can all agree, right? That is something that is like really shitty, right? Like that was a really shitty thing to do. Like regardless of what point you're trying to make, I think once you decide to comb through hours of footage to try and find a point in which someone makes a mistake in their target language, I feel like you've kind of lost the argument. A live stream in which I am reading and responding to people speaking in German, the language I'm learning, I am talking to them and replying live as best I can in the language that isn't English, the target language I'm learning, and I made a little mistake, and I do make mistakes, as we all do, in the language that we are learning. But somehow that means that I can't speak the language that I was just exhibiting use of, and in fact, because of this, I guess the ideology that Duolingo does not work, that's it, airtight case, you've solved it. Wow, Wahnsinn! It's nonsense in German, by the way, a language I guess I don't know how to speak. Never once in any of the many conversations that I've had in German has anyone told me that I don't know how to speak German. Probably because that doesn't make any fucking sense since I'm literally speaking the language. And the Germans are a pretty blunt people, so I assume that if I actually didn't know how to speak the language and I've been just making weird sounds, I'm sure they would tell me that by now. But then again, telling someone who's learning your language that they're making mistakes is usually seen as a shitty thing to do, as it usually lowers their confidence and increases the likelihood that they stop trying to speak your language. So one would only believe that by making a comment like this, it's not intended to help the person out by correcting their errors, but instead, maybe just trying to be shitty. Or French. And then coincidentally, and don't worry, it's always just a wild coincidence whenever these types of videos pop up, they just happen to be promoting a service that gives them a lot of money for you to sign up. What are the chances? Man, that always keeps happening in this community. So weird. Popular thing, bad. Give me sign up to this program that's different. Thanks to the money. It's so transparent. So, has Edinger lied about becoming fluent in German using Duolingo? What is the real truth? Well, the truth is, we've got drama, all right, in the world's tiniest subset of an already small internet community. The Duolingo niche on the language learning niche on YouTube. Who would have thought? I've been making videos on YouTube for 15 years, and the videos I upload are always just whatever I happen to be interested in at the time, my main goal to be to educate and entertain at the same time. Basically, here's a fun fact I learned, let me talk about it. I've never asked for any sort of authority in any space that I'm in, I'm just kind of sharing my thoughts. Now, one topic I've made videos on for quite a while is language learning on Duolingo. The first video I uploaded was about 6 years ago, after I'd been using the app for about 2 years, and I was really excited because I found such good success with German using Duolingo, and I wanted to share that success with my audience. Since then, the app has changed a lot in those 6 years, as have I. I mean, look at that haircut. Actually, I miss it. Probably gonna get a haircut soon. But the point is, it's been a long time since then, and the 1.5 million views, never expected that, but that's pretty cool. But there are a couple of asterisks here. One, I will be the first to tell you, I'm sorry if I gave off this impression. I'm not a professional language learner, okay? My brand is not learning languages. This is a hobby. It is a fun thing for me. It's not like, hey guys, today I'm gonna be grinding through to make this thing that you do for fun into something that's a work and I don't enjoy it. No, I'm not interested in that. Like most of you, I think the idea of spending a couple minutes every day at the end of a year or 2 or 3 will allow me to speak a foreign language as a pretty cool thing to do. 2, without meaning to, I have accidentally become the Marques Brownlee of the Duolingo niche. A niche I didn't even know existed, as I've just been sharing my experiences, not really searching this up from other people. This is just what my experiences are. Whenever I upload a video about Duolingo to some regard, I get over 500,000 views, which is huge for not only me, but also this supposed niche. The positives of this are things like, I got really happy the other day because I was on Reddit and I saw people quoting this tip that I'd given in a video I made in January as like, oh, Evan is the originator of this tip and it really helped me and it can help you. And it made me feel really proud. Like the things that I'm putting out online in this niche are helpful to the community, and I don't know, it just makes me really proud of that. I'm really thankful. However, the third asterisk, there are negatives to being so influential in the space, meaning I've pretty much got a big target on my back, I suppose. If you want to siphon off some of my views by using my face in the thumbnail, you can now do that, I guess. Color me surprised, I'm on my way back from the gym, walking to the shops, getting me some Thanksgiving groceries, scrolling on Reddit as you do. And then, this isn't a normal experience I think most people will ever have. As I'm scrolling through Reddit, I'm looking at my face shining back at me. Someone used my face, my thumbnail, in their thumbnail as clickbait. Wow, my mind was blown. I was like, this is hilarious to me because of the niche. Like, trying to use me to get views, I thought it was really funny because I'm not a large YouTuber. But what also made me laugh, he photoshopped the number of views my video had. Like, why? The video was clearly good enough to rip off so that you could try and get views from my audience, but not good enough that the views needed to be raised by double? Come on. I guess when videos like I learned Spanish for 25 hours straight don't hit too well, you gotta resort to using YouTubers like me and Ali Abdaal for views. I mean, somehow I got more views than the Ali Abdaal video, so hey. All right, so it's time to get into the nitty-gritty. A small YouTuber by the name of Lamont decided to use my content heavily in his own, use my face and thumbnail for his own video, and take everything that I've ever said in the 6 years I've made videos on this topic heavily out of context and lie to his viewers about my journey so that it fits his narrative that Duolingo doesn't work and that you should probably sign up to the service that he makes money from. Nothing necessarily against the guy, which I guess is how he started his video to make sure that people that watched it that came from my face in the thumbnail went, oh, he seems all right. He said Evan isn't a bad guy as he begins to lie about me and say all these things about how my journey is basically fake. I'll do the same. Nothing negative about the guy. It's just I think that his points that he made in the video are not only heavily highfalutin and misguided, they also show an extraordinary lack of understanding in what the average normal person wants out of a language learning app. And I can assure you, it isn't spending 25 hours learning a language straight. No, I don't think that's actually quite relatable. Maybe that's why the videos aren't getting views unless you use other YouTubers in the thumbnail. Hey, that's just a free idea. I think if you say, this isn't a personal attack, while then spending 28 minutes of basically attacking the fluency of the person in question, I don't know, man. It's like the modern day equivalent of saying something really shitty and then going, just kidding. It was a prank, bro. I don't know, yet again, it's more transparent than you think it is. Now, the main premise of his video is, well, actually, I've already talked about the main premise of his video in the video I made in January, so let's just roll that clip. So let's get this right out of the bag. There are some people on the internet that will tell you that using Duolingo is a waste of your time, and your time is much better spent moving to a foreign country or taking a one-on-one language course. And to be honest, those methods are going to be much more effective than Duolingo, but that's not really who Duolingo is competing against. Duolingo is competing against the time we all waste on our phones, social media and whatnot. It's poetic that in a video that I made nearly a year ago, I've already countered his entire video. Hilarious. But I guess now I can be more specific on people like Lamont who for some reason have this drum that they like to beat that Duolingo doesn't work for whatever reason, whoever hurt them, I don't care. If you're someone that has learned a lot with Duolingo, you'll have people like Lamont who will just jump at you going, excuse me, did you also use any other resources? And if you say, well, yeah, actually, as I started learning more with Duolingo, I started reading and watching films, and he'll say, no, you just learned from the films and the books. The Duolingo did nothing. So assumably, if you're someone that likes to work out and you say, hey, I just did push-ups and like pull-ups and I got fit, he'd be like, no, didn't you forget to drink water and breathe? Yeah, actually I didn't say that. I don't know why you would assume that that wasn't included.
Ideally, you would get on the plane from day one. You would start doing what was most effective on the first day.
The main analogy that Lamont made in his video, which I think he was really, really proud of, was that learning a language is like flying from Sydney to San Francisco. And using Duolingo is like walking 15 hours to the airport. Why would you walk 15 hours to the airport when you can just fly there? Would you say that the walk to the airport is equally as important as the flight? He thinks no. Which, if you have even more than 2 brain cells, you might be able to piece together the issue with this analogy. How are we getting to the fucking airport, you idiot? Unless you live at the airport, then I guess you can just fly there. But pretending like the steps to get to the airport don't count, is the most stupid analogy I can imagine, and that's just point one on this really bad analogy. One, why are we to assume that language learning is some sort of race and we all have to get there as fast as possible? Using his analogy, nobody is walking 15 hours to the airport. If anything, we're splitting that 15 hours up into 15-minute segments to go about our days of having lives and not spending 25 hours in a row learning a language. You know, like normal people things, which I don't think is relatable to him, so maybe that's why this analogy is about flying. It's a bit up in the air. I mean, by that same logic, why would you ever do a road trip from Los Angeles to San Francisco if you can just fly there? Cut that time in half. Don't be an idiot and enjoy the journey. No, everything has to be done right now. And if you don't do it the way I do it, you're wrong. And you don't know a language. It's flawless logic. And two, by his shoehorned in analogy about flying, saying it isn't equally as important to get to the airport as flying, it literally is, because if you aren't at the airport, you can't fly. So those baby steps of getting somewhere to do something big, by your analogy, need to be done unless, I don't know, you can transform into an airplane. But so far, I haven't found an app to do that. I've been desperate. If you know how I can turn into an airplane, please tell me. Don't keep that from me, okay? That'd be useful. But now I'd like to present a better analogy. Hey man, how's your weight loss journey going? Oh, pretty good actually. I've been really getting my steps in, trying to get to 10,000 steps a day, and I've recently been playing a lot of footy with friends, which is really fun. Oh, so you're some sort of dumbass? What? Listen, man, walking's not gonna get you anywhere, and quit playing games, man. The only way to really lose weight is to do what I did. You gotta cycle uphill 2 hours both ways, join a HIIT course, and then do some strength training for the actual best way to get a calorie deficit. And if you do anything else, you're literally wasting your time. Oh, I mean, I don't really have that much time to commit to it right now, and I am enjoying what I'm doing, and I did say I'm actually experiencing quite a lot of progress. Yeah, this is what I hear. Just some sort of idiot that doesn't actually take losing weight seriously. Hey, where are you going? I'm gonna go meet up with friends to play footy. No! Stop enjoying yourself! One final thing I find really distasteful about the video that Lamont made was insinuating that it took me 8 years to get to B2 in German because I was just in Berlin studying a B2 course. And there's two reasons why I think that's incredibly distasteful. One, you're being judgmental for no reason. I do not understand why one would just judge someone else's learning journey online as if they're some sort of god because he decided that becoming a polyglot was his life's goal in order to monetize it. Cool, man. Don't mean judging others is a cool thing to do. But two, it's also not true. At all. So, I don't know, maybe you had hours of your life to spend combing through my past live streams to find some sort of mistake to use to paint me as some sort of dummy. However, you could have spent 5-10 minutes and watched the video I uploaded very recently, right before the Duolingo one, in which I stated I haven't really been learning German much for the past couple years because I've switched to Spanish. So, by saying it took me 8 years to get to B2 is disingenuous, a clear lie, and just trying to paint me as a bad person to, yet again, get more people to sign up to your rival service that makes you money. I just find that so strange. I actually took a B2 course for German in 2020 in the beginning of the year because that's where I was at and I wanted to make sure I was at B2, just for fun, because it's a hobby. And then for the last 3 years, I actually haven't done much German. So it's just really, I took the B2 course last month just so I could maintain what I had. And three, really unnecessary. I feel like you could make points about maybe you don't like Duolingo. Maybe you think it's slow. That's valid, man. You can make those points, but taking a YouTuber who just does this as a hobby, taking his footage out of context, trying to paint him as some sort of dummy because it appears to you that it took him too long to learn a language, man, you really gotta look inward on this stuff and be like, am I the bad guy? Genuinely. That clip from whatever, the Peep Show, I don't know. I was gonna say David Cameron. His name is not David Cameron. Are we the baddies? You know what I'm talking about. What's his name? Mitchell and Webb. David Mitchell, not David Cameron. Personally, I don't really care about other people's labels about my language learning journey, as I'm hoping that most of you in my audience feel the same about your own. If you feel like you can understand TV shows in your target language, you listen to music, you're engaging more in the culture, you can read some books, fuck anyone else that says that you can't understand the language. You're at that level, my man. You're able to understand the cultural stuff that you're studying. Hell yeah. That's what I gotta say. I'm not trying to tell you, hey, actually, if you can't read any Kafka, then nope, it's just textbook gatekeeping for no other reason except to be shitty. I can watch TV shows in German, as I could 4 years ago. I can listen to music. I can read books. I can walk into my local baker's and pick up a nice pudding taler without ever having to use any English. To me, that's conversationally fluent. I can pretty much use the language to the extent that I'm having a good time, I'm using it, I'm learning it, and it's fun. And I know fun might be a foreign concept, pun intended, to some of these people, but I assume that's how most people in my audience specifically feel about foreign language learning. It's supposed to be fun. And I'm not really interested in this bizarre language learning dick measuring contest that's been thrust upon me, like, oh yeah, you speak German? What's the word for dick measuring contest? I don't know, man. I'll be honest, I didn't even look it up. I could have done that for the bit, but you know what? I don't know. I don't know all the words. I don't know all the words in English. I'm just having a fun time. Lord. However, without looking it up, I'm assuming it would be like Dick Maßnung Gewinnspiel. I'm gonna look it up now. I'm saying dick. Obviously, there are German words for dick, but I feel like Denglish applies here. Actually, I did just look it up. The Germans, of course, one word for dick measuring contest, because it's used all the time in Deutschland. We have Schwanzvermessungswettbewerb. Perfect for this exact scenario in which, for some reason, how much language I learn is being thrust upon me by someone else. Yet again, I'm throwing the puns out, pun intended. I'm personally not really looking at my language learning journey and comparing it to others online to feel inadequate or feel superior, which it seems like some people online really do enjoy doing. I'm just comparing it to myself and being like, oh, sick, I can actually use this language now. Wow, I'm so much better than I was last year. Because I think that's more of a healthy way of doing anything, really. I love learning. My whole channel is about learning different things. I've learned piano, color grading, lighting, sound. I've learned so many different things and I love doing it. If I ever compared myself to every top YouTuber in the field, you know how upset I'd be all the time? I'd be very upset. And maybe I'd use all of their faces in the thumbnail and be like, this is why I'm inadequate. But I don't. So, well, so much of this video is unscripted and I love it. This whole thing really reminds me of this webcomic, except instead of gaming, it's gonna be about Duolingo. Like, Duolingo sucks, you know. It's not actually helping you learn a language. Quit having fun! Man, mind your business. Mind your bee's knees, my man. One big thing I see time and time again online is that you can't learn a foreign language or become fluent using Duolingo, which is always such a surprise to me because I did. So it's like, hey man, that didn't happen. You're not valid. Or the more modern take that Lamont seems to employ in his video is that if you used Duolingo to at any point then get the ability to read books or watch films, Duolingo didn't help you at all. It was actually all of the books. That's the airport analogy. You're just flying off in the books. So you just miraculously got the ability to read the books somehow just by looking at the words. Duolingo doesn't count. But if you're a commenter that says, well, you didn't actually use any books, you've just become fluent in Danish using Duolingo, well, interestingly enough, Lamont can just say, well, then you don't know the language. It's a really beautiful catch-22. Either you used books, and therefore the books is what helped you, not Duolingo, it's invalid, or you didn't use books, and then Duolingo didn't help, you can't speak the language. I love that we have this person that is so new in the field that's able to tell all of us how our language learning journey is. It's really nice. I always felt like I needed someone to tell me where my language was at without my consent, and now I've got it. So thank you, Lamont, very much appreciated. I think this is the result of having such a narrow-minded worldview that any new information that enters into your space that disproves this, for some reason, opinion you have, your brain will come up with any fanciful reason it can to make sure that you are always right. Which is ironic because usually people that are learning foreign languages are more open-minded. They're learning things from outside of their normal cultural space. So it is weird that someone would have such a narrow-minded focus on a point that is just weird. And sure, it could be funny to watch from afar as people online will enter into these debates that at the end of the day don't really affect your language learning. They can have their little gatekeeping fights all they want. But next time these pseudo-intellectuals tell you that you don't meet their criteria for fluency, hopefully you know enough in your target language to tell them where to shove their misshapen heads. My honest question to my viewers is, why do you think this vocal minority exists that insist on inserting a non-existent straw man about the use of Duolingo in your routine? By saying, I use Duolingo to become fluent, people for some reason, they cover their ears and they go, what was that? Did you say only? You only use Duolingo? And you're like, well, I never said that. You're saying that I used it for literally mostly only, and then eventually you get to the ability to read, and then they're like, you only used it? Or you didn't use it at all. What? It's such a stupid argument. Why? Warum? ¿Por qué? I'm just imagining these people do the same thing for every language learning resource, like, hey, how's it going? Did I tell you that I can speak Spanish now? Oh, really? How did you do it? Yeah, I learned from a textbook. A textbook? You can't learn Spanish using only a textbook. You've got to watch films and talk to people and buy the course that I make money from. Well, I can speak Spanish, and also, why are you inferring that when I said I used a textbook, that was the only thing I'd ever use ever? I mean, like, nobody is saying that but you. But thanks to the textbook and my daily practice, I've been able to watch films in Spanish too. Oh, there it is. Okay, I get it. So you learned Spanish from watching films. The textbook didn't count. What? How is that what you got out of this? It's all about the airplanes, man, and films are like crossing the ocean. You see, I've watched a film 25 times, and some would say that's not a really good use of my time and not fun at all, but you know, it does make some good clickbait. Well, actually it doesn't, since the video didn't perform well, but anyway, I know what I'm talking about. And the thing is, this isn't just about Lamont's video. I've seen these types of comments come up online, especially in language learning communities on Reddit, and I find them just heavily misguided. And I want to talk about one in particular. For instance, if we look at the 6th rule of r/Spanish, the Spanish-speaking subreddit, we have no Duolingo / similar learning game app posts. Duolingo posts are strictly forbidden here. Duolingo is a poor platform to attempt to learn a language on. In fact, many language learning apps are just games that make you believe you're learning, and they are just mere tools for dopamine release. Consider getting a tutor, a textbook, consuming Spanish-speaking media instead of these game apps. Bans will apply for violators of this rule, posters and commenters. Ha ha ha. Wow, I guess I never learned Spanish at all. Not according to this cringe-lord boomer moderator who tells me to buy a textbook or pay for a tutor. Ah yes, truly the only acceptable ways of learning Spanish, at least according to this Reddit moderator living in his mother's basamento. Oh, I guess I don't know that word. I must have just came up with it. I don't know, I haven't had a tutor. How did I do it? And speaking of textbooks, this is textbook gatekeeping. I don't know what this was meant to be. It's a textbook. Like, the main consequence of being like this is discouraging people from learning the language. For what purpose? The superiority complex? Like, you gotta be so mad at people learning a language in a way that you didn't do it, so much so that you abuse what little modicum of power you have in an online internet forum to ban questions about it? It's really cringe, man. Like, contrast this specifically with r/Svenska, the Swedish language subreddit, where their rule states they are more than happy to accept questions and tips, and they're always welcome. Where the community are more than happy to answer any of your questions using Duolingo because they're just encouraging people to learn their language. Ah, that's nice. And obviously, most Spanish people would be more than happy to encourage you to learn their language in whatever way you find fit, because they're happy to share their culture with you, not like this moderator who will just ban you and tell you to read a book. The type of people that are mad at others for using Duolingo to learn a foreign language are mad for all the wrong reasons. Maybe it's because it took them a really long time to learn the language of their choice, and they think that others need to struggle like they did. But the fact that Duolingo is so incredibly accessible as a way to get someone that even has a slight interest in foreign languages to begin their journey, and then, hey, maybe one day buying a textbook like you love, maybe one day getting a tutor, but the fact that it's so accessible and that anyone can do it with just a little bit of time every day, I think is the huge appeal that a lot of these people seem to just completely ignore. Researching and buying a textbook or paying for a tutor or jumping into a TV program in a language they fully don't understand is a huge commitment. The appeal of Duolingo is the low effort entry. It is a free app. Your friends are there. You spend minutes a day. It's fun. But finally, let me wrap this up succinctly. Could you claim Duolingo is slow? Absolutely. Could you claim maybe there are better methods, maybe faster, maybe ones that you found more successful? Oh yeah, you can do that. That's your subjective experience. Totally good. But at the end of the day, Duolingo is still an incredibly accessible way to learn a foreign language. And maybe, just maybe, instead of, say, and I quote, doing anything I can to get views, maybe focus on your own language learning journey and stop gatekeeping learning. Just a thought. Hey there, Evan in the edit here. I know this video is very long, but I've had some nice time to sit and think about this after I've finished the video. Today is Sunday, the day I'm uploading, and because this is a bit of a different video than I usually upload, I sent it to a couple friends to ask their opinions and be like, you know, was I a bit harsh? Like, what do you think of this? Especially because just making videos of this style really does my anxiety in. I really don't like doing this. Like, my heart has been racing since filming it, since editing it. I really don't like this. But my friend Bliss asked me a simple question before even watching the video, which was, well, Evan, what was your intent? Why are you making this video? That's a really good question. The reason I usually make videos, especially in the Duolingo niche, is because I guess I'm proud of where I've come, but also I want to share my genuine opinions on like, here's what I think of the app, here's things that could be improved, here's how I'm still using it. And I don't know, I just like leading the discourse in this topic. I think it's interesting and it's just my genuine opinions on things. So I like to just, I don't know, share my journey and maybe help people out. But with this one, my intent was actually not like that at all. It felt like my honor had been besmirched, and I felt so confused with why someone would do this to me, I guess, and I felt like it was so wrong, and I needed to prove myself and be like, hey, for the small amount of people that have seen this other video, this is actually the truth, because I just don't like the idea of, I guess, people spreading things about me that aren't necessarily true, so that was my intent. But also I didn't like the idea that this type of YouTuber would just continue to do this, because obviously if they've done it with me and they've done it with another YouTuber, that's going to be their thing now, is to just shit on people that are up top to climb to the top, and then eventually they'll be at the top, and then people shit on them. And I just think that's such a gross thing to do, and I really do not like that ecosystem, and that's why I don't do that myself. But I've come to peace with it a bit. The reason being because I've finally realized why I've been so confused about this whole situation, and it's because I've treated this person and others like him as if they're very similar to me and they have the same moral codes, when that isn't really true a lot of times. And in terms of analogies, I would say Lamont is very similar to Elvis Presley's tour manager. You have people that love Elvis, and so he would sell merch to them saying, I love Elvis. But you hate Elvis. Well, how can he make money off of you? You're the hater. He sells badges saying, I hate Elvis. No matter if you love it, you hate it, he makes money. It's good from a business move. Now, interestingly, I bring this up because Lamont this year, just recently, has uploaded this video about how Duolingo is really bad, and he dragged me through the mud so that way he could prove a point. But last year, he uploaded a video called 4 Reasons That Duolingo is Worth It in 2022. Now, obviously, a lot can change in a year, but it's interesting that he brings up in the video very good points about how Duolingo is very effective, and you go through the comments and everyone's agreeing with him, whether it be elementary, intermediate, doesn't matter. Duolingo is very effective still. That's very interesting. So I see a guy who uploads a video about Duolingo being good, and I see a guy who uploads the same video, except Duolingo is really bad. And I'm like, oh, maybe his intent isn't necessarily to share his genuine experiences with this app or with anything, but to just generate clicks from people that like it. Is that popular? Are people liking this app now? I'll share a video on that. Oh, things swayed? People dislike it? I can make money on that. And I hate being like that guy that's like, oh, I can make money on that. But as the self-proclaimed Marcus Brownlee of the Duolingo niche, I just love saying that, it's funny. I do get emails every 2 weeks or so from a different language learning app trying to get me to tell you about their app to make money off of you. And it'd be inauthentic of me. I can't do that. It would just make me feel fake, not even because I have friends and I have girlfriends, families, and I have people that I know that watch these videos, and therefore they would feel like I was being inauthentic because they know me and I don't use these apps, but also just it's common decency. I don't think I can promote an app that I'm not using because that would be fake. I actually have reached out to a language learning app to work with in the new year because I'm actually going to be fitting them into my schedule, Duolingo Plus, as long as they were very okay with that, because I'm not going to pretend I'm just using all these other apps because I can make money from it. I don't promote things that I don't use. That's just my moral code, not everyone's. I know everyone's got their own thing. But when I went through this description for the 4 Reasons Duolingo is Worth It in 2022, a video he uploaded in January of last year, interestingly, top comment, right? I mean, it's the top part of his description is actually an affiliate link to a different company. So I was like, okay, so even when you like Duolingo, you're promoting this other app as an affiliate so that you make money. And I was like, to be fair, that makes sense. Like I said, I'm going to be working with another brand, but I scrolled a bit further and oh, okay. He's working with another brand as well. So there's another affiliate link for a different language learning app that he wants you to possibly click on it. It helped him, it seems. So that's really useful. He's using 3 apps that make sense, Duolingo and these other 2, maybe because he's trying to learn a lot of language. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that one. There's also a 3rd language learning app that's an affiliate link he has. So that way, maybe if you like Duolingo, because you liked this video about Duolingo he made, you can click one of the 3rd. Oh, I didn't even notice. There's a 4th one as well. So maybe one of these 4 language learning apps that I guess he uses, to me, I just see this as a very transparent now. I feel so much more at peace that nothing here was genuine. Nothing here was authentic. His intent was not to hurt me. His intent was not to besmirch my brand. It did. That was his goal. That wasn't his goal, though. His goal is purely clicks, money. Does not matter about being authentic. Does not matter about sharing his genuine opinions. Is this thing bad now? I make video. Who brings me views? This guy? Cool. It's to promote my purpose. Guys, click my links. And my question to you, as any sane person in any audience, just someone watching this video, are you someone that doesn't like look, are you not aware that there are affiliate links? I'm sure you are. The links that I have, for instance, are for camera stuff and things that I actually use, but I don't know. I just don't trust necessarily if people are going to be promoting all these different links. Maybe I'm just being so picky. Sorry, I went off in this little Evan editor tangent, but just, I feel a lot better. That might sound weird, but this actually, I feel more at peace. Regardless of what happens after this, I feel like I understand now that we're just not the same. Anyway, bring it back to past Evan from a couple days ago. Let's wrap this up. For those of you learning a language or two like myself, no matter in what way or at what pace, I hope you continue to do so. Learning a language has been one of the most fun and fulfilling things that I've done in my life, and I highly recommend anyone to do it. And all the people that I've run into in the street, because I run into people in the street, because I actually have an audience, that tell me, hey, because of you, I actually started learning this language and I was able to reconnect with like my ancestry and blah, blah, blah. That makes me feel really happy. The fact that my influence can tell people to learn things, hell yeah. That's all I gotta say. Hell yeah. Keep it up. Ignore people online. Let them have their little fights while you just keep getting a bit more learned. Do you say learned? See, I guess I'm not fluent in English after all. Now, originally, if you can believe it, today's video was meant to be, as I've teased it for a while, the video of me speaking completely in German part 2. However, this one kind of jumped in the way, so that video is now pushed off into the future a little bit. Sorry about that if you were keen. I was too. Now, most of you in my audience probably aren't like me in that you don't have your data just available for anyone to go looking through to be like, 8 years ago, he made a video that I disagree with, so I'm gonna just film a video about it. You're probably normal people. However, your private data is actually probably as accessible to private companies that are using it against your will. And today's video sponsor, Incogni, have actually stepped in to offer you a solution. Every website you go to these days is throwing cookies on your computer, trying to track your IP address, trying to sell that data of yours so that they can give you the best adverts to make money off of your data. But thanks to GDPR, we actually have the right to request that they remove this data so that we can stop getting so many spam emails and so many adverts and so much using your personal data. The issue is there are so many different individual data brokers all holding your data. It's actually quite scary. And so the idea of emailing each one of these individual companies is a bit overwhelming. Thankfully, Incogni as a service, its entire goal is to automate that. It's actually a really quick process. You sign up to Incogni and you give them the right to request the deletion of your data, and then they just go ham asking all the different data brokers out there to delete your data. And then you actually have a dashboard. You can see how far they've come along. Look how many different brokers have had to delete my data thanks to Incogni. Hell yes. And I will be honest, I've actually received way fewer spam emails to my business email after using Incogni. So for me, it actually is a service that makes a lot of sense, probably because I've been on the internet for so long that my email address is just out there for everyone to just email. And though it is really satisfying watching that number go up of all the different data brokers that have had to delete your data, if you are not fully satisfied, Incogni does have a 30-day money-back guarantee to make sure you're happy. So if you'd like to tell those data brokers to shove it and get rid of your data, sign up to Incogni using my link in the description and get 60% off. Wow! Thanks Incogni for sponsoring today's video, and I guess let's wrap this up. If you want my current tips on using Duolingo, I did make a video about that, but I'll hopefully update it in the new year. Time for a song.
It's time for a ukulele.
Duolingo helped me a lot. You can tell me that I'm lying, I'm not. Maybe you wouldn't be so sore if you worked on yourself a little bit more.
If you're thinking that I've clipped that out of context, you'd be right.